July has pretty much come and gone, which means that August is here, which means that new games are coming to the Nintendo Switch. And honestly, August is kind of a weird month for the system. Nintendo hasn't announced any games beyond Paper Mario: The Origami King, which of course is already out, so there's no first-party games to talk about in the month of August. There's a bunch of third-party games, smaller indie games though, and games that I probably won't play, but you might be interested in to talk about though for the month of August. What's going on, guys? I'm RGT85. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But without any further ado, let's talk about what games are coming to the Nintendo Switch in the month of August and see what you might be interested in. The first game is actually a game I am interested in. It's coming out on August 4th, and it is titled Skully. Now, basically, you are playing as a skull for a majority of this game, and you have to basically save this island that you are put onto. Now, the skull-based gameplay kind of reminds me a bit of Iggy's Wrecking Balls on the N64. I'm sure a lot of you guys don't remember that game, but it was actually a pretty fun game. Now, the cool thing about Skully is he can actually turn into different characters along his journey. There's 3 different characters that you will use in certain points in the game. And all of these characters have their own abilities, and it sort of makes it more of a traditional 3D style platforming game. I think the game has really nice graphics. I really hope that the final product looks and runs as we are seeing in this trailer, because there's lots of pretty graphics, nice textures and effects that are happening in the world. And really, if the gameplay in Skully is as good as the graphics appear to be in the game, I think this could end up being a sleeper hit on the Nintendo Switch. It is a budget title as well at just $30. It's getting a physical release, so I don't know. I think Skully looks really good. It's definitely one of the games I'm looking forward to playing in the month of August for the Nintendo Switch. And like I said, it comes out on August 4th, so you won't have to wait very long for it. The next game is a game that I'm not going to play at all, but you might be interested in it, so I just wanted to briefly mention it, and that is a game called Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Infinite Combat. Now, I would think if you're in a dungeon, you would have different sort of priorities on your mind, like killing monsters, getting loot and stuff like that, but obviously, you might want to pick up some girls in this dungeon as well. What are they doing in the dungeon? That's a good question, I feel, but this is obviously a weird sort of action JRPG game that is based on a popular anime series. I will say the combat in the game looks pretty solid. It kind of reminds me of earlier Ys games as far as the hack and slash elements go, but I do think some people will be a bit disappointed with the graphics of the game because, well, it doesn't really look like it's pushing any sort of hardware or anything. Now, this is a multi-platform release. It's also coming out on the PlayStation 4, so I'm guessing if you're a fan of the anime series, you probably have this game on your radar. I am someone who does not watch anime though, so I know absolutely nothing about this franchise, but if you've ever wanted to answer the question, is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon? Now you can do that on August 11th on your Nintendo Switch with Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Infinite Combat. You know, it's expensive. Kids. Well, I don't know because I don't have any kids, but I'm assuming it's expensive because you always hear people complaining about it. But what if you wanted to have kids without the financial responsibilities of it? Well, you could buy this game called My Baby, My Universe that is coming out on August 18th. And really, who approved this game? Like, when you make a video game, you obviously want to make money on that video game. You want the game to sell. Is there a large market for virtual baby simulation games out there in the world? I guess, you know, Death Stranding seemed to sell okay-ish, and that had that weird little baby that you were taking care of. But yes, if you want to feed babies and change diapers without the financial burden of having to buy things like Gerber and diapers, because I'm assuming diapers are expensive, you could check out My Baby, My Universe on August 18th. Save all your money for this game. It could end up being Game of the Year. Like, let's be honest here. It's been a very weird year for video games, so I'm going to say this game has potential, but I'm not going to play it because, you know, I don't really like kids, man. I don't really like kids. On August 21st, Samurai Jack Battle Through Time will be hitting the Nintendo Switch. Now, this is based on a very popular cartoon series that's more geared a bit towards adults than necessarily children are. I've watched a few episodes of the cartoon. I didn't really super get into it, but I know there are a lot of people that are interested in this franchise, so to see a new game come out is very cool. And I will say the game itself actually looks pretty dope. You play as Samurai Jack, and it's basically a 3D action platforming game with hack and slash elements. Now, the nice thing about it is original voice actors return from the cartoon series, including Phil LaMarr, who voices the lead character. My favorite Phil LaMarr role had to be Vamp in the Metal Gear Solid series, but I think Phil LaMarr is definitely a very good voice actor. The cartoon art style of the game really makes this game pop, I feel. It actually looks really good. It almost looks like a cartoon when you're looking at the actual game itself. There's over a dozen different weapons in the game, and I think this game will be a lot of fun. I don't necessarily think you need to be a fan of the Samurai Jack series, because I'm not really a fan of the series, but I am looking forward to the game because I think it looks very solid. Like I said, Samurai Jack Battle Through Time comes out on August 21st, and if you like 3D action platformers, you might want to check this game out. PGA Tour Golf 2K21 is coming to the Nintendo Switch on August 21st, and well, I haven't really heard a lot about this game. I saw the game had a release date, and I was kind of like, wow, I didn't even know this game was coming to the Nintendo Switch. Now, as judging by the title of the game, you could tell what this is. It's a golf game. Now, there's a career mode in which you make your own golfer and you go through the ranks trying to get to the FedEx Cup, or you can play as other pro characters in the game and just play sort of simulation style. I do hope that the Walrus, Fuzzy Zoller, is in it. He was one of my favorite golfers of all time because his name is the Walrus. The Walrus. Now, of course, there's realistic courses in the game and there's a heavy emphasis on simulation, but there are some arcade elements to it as well. There's online multiplayer with you can play with friends or in leagues and just choose your own sort of gameplay elements as far as rules are concerned. Now, there is a course designer feature that is on the other versions of the game for the Xbox One and the PS4 that is actually not in the Nintendo Switch version of the game, so that does sort of suck if you wanted to create your own courses. I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence about this. I do enjoy sports games, but golf is definitely lower on the list of how I enjoy sports games. You know, on the Genesis, they were okay. You had, of course, 36 great holes with Fred Couples on the 32X, but if you like simulation golf games, PGA Tour Golf 2K21 is coming to the Nintendo Switch on August 21st, and really, it's the only ball game in town. One of the bigger releases for the month of August is Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered Edition, coming to the Nintendo Switch on August 27th. Now, this game was originally announced quite a while ago, and since then it's gotten numerous delays, but now it finally has a concrete release date. Now, this version of the game features things like HD graphics, new content such as new bosses and new dungeons, and new voiceover work in the game as well. There's a mimic feature that allows players to take on the form of other characters, so that's pretty cool, and of course the multiplayer function has been greatly enhanced. It used to be just a local multiplayer game, but now it is an online multiplayer game for this action RPG. And online multiplayer is actually very cool in this game because it supports cross-platform play. So no matter if your friends have this game on the PS4, the Nintendo Switch, or even cell phones, you'll actually all be able to play this game together. The original release of this game was a very popular GameCube game, and I'm sure that these new additions to the game will make it a worthwhile experience, and I'm definitely looking forward to playing this game with some of my friends. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered Edition comes out on August 27th and is arguably one of the bigger releases for the Nintendo Switch in the month of August. On August 28th, we're getting yet another anime-based game, but I will say this game has a bit more appeal to it, and I might actually check it out, and that is called Captain Tsubasa Rise of New Champions. I hope I'm saying his name right. Like I said, the more interesting element of this game is that it is a soccer game, and really, the game looks really good. I think it looks better than the new FIFA game that we're going to get, which of course is just going to be a Legacy Edition. There's a cel-shaded art style, and there's over-the-top soccer mechanics that might remind some people of Mario Strikers, which of course is a very popular series. There's going to be a story mode for fans of the anime, and of course there's going to be a quick play mode and even online versus. I think this game has a lot of potential. I'm actually very interested in this game because I do enjoy playing soccer games, and it seems like they're actually taking their time and putting effort into this game, and I think it looks very, very promising. Like I said, I don't know anything about Captain Tsubasa, but I do know that Captain Tsubasa is getting a new game with Captain Tsubasa Rise of New Champions on August 28th on your Nintendo Switch. Now, the biggest game for the month of August for me personally is Windbound, which comes out on August 28th. Now, what is Windbound? Well, what happens when you take The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and mix boat mechanics of Wind Waker? You pretty much get Windbound, and I think this game looks absolutely spectacular. You play as a character named Kara, who is basically a warrior who becomes caught at sea during a storm, and she gets shipwrecked on an uncharted island. She basically has to mend herself. She has to get food and create tools, and of course create a new boat, boat in order to adapt and explore all of the islands around her and find the secrets of these islands. There's a lot of combat in the game, and as you can tell by the visual style, it looks a lot like Breath of the Wild. The combat looks a lot like Breath of the Wild. You have to craft tools and weapons to hunt and defend yourself, and I think this game just looks really cool because of the added boat mechanics in the game as well that you use to traverse these different islands. You can actually customize your boat as well. I think this game has potential to be very, very good. I do hope that they took their time with this game because I think more games in the style of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild are a very good thing. You're not getting Breath of the Wild 2 in 2020. I'm sorry to break that to you guys, but I think Windbound could be an acceptable substitute, and I think it has its own sort of cool features that are going to make this game stand out a bit. Like I said, Windbound comes out on August 28th on the Nintendo Switch, and it's definitely my most anticipated game for the month of August. Are you tired of anime-based games? Well, I have bad news for you because the final game that we're going to talk about is based on an anime and a manga, and that is Jump Force Deluxe Edition, coming out on August 28th to your Nintendo Switch. Now, this game obviously wasn't all that great when it originally released, but it was good enough to be considered Fighting Game of the Year during the Game Awards 2019, and some people do seem to enjoy this game. Of course, there are over 50 characters from different manga franchises and anime franchises such as Dragon Ball, One Piece, Naruto, all stuff that I don't know anything about. I know who like Goku is and stuff like that, but beyond that, I don't know any of these people. There's over 50 characters. There is previous content updates, including DLC 1 from the Character Pass 1 that was released on the other platforms that is included into this game, and you can fight with up to 6 players on one console with an exclusive 3-on-3 offline multiplayer mode. But with a bunch of different game modes, a bunch of different characters from various manga franchises and anime franchises, I think Jump Force Deluxe Edition will be a welcome addition to the Nintendo Switch. Now, how will the performance of the game turn out? That definitely remains to be seen, but hopefully Bandai Namco can figure out how to make this game run properly on your Nintendo Switch when it comes out on August 28th. Alright, so those are the games for the Nintendo Switch for the month of August 2020. Like I said, kind of an interesting mix of stuff, a lot of anime-based games. Of course, there will be more games announced over the month of August that will get a release date for the month of August as well, but these are the games we know about as of right now, and these are the games I felt were worth talking about. So let me know in the comments section down below what games you plan on checking out on your Nintendo Switch in the month of August. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to games like Skully, and of course Windbound I think is going to be absolutely awesome, and Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered as well. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Check out other videos on the channel, and as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.